Overseas now, European leaders have hit back at Donald Trump, who's increasing pressure on allies to back his acquisition of Greenland. Mr. Trump has threatened to impose steep tariffs from next month to countries that oppose the US taking ownership of the Danish territory. He told reporters earlier today that he's confident an appropriate deal on Greenland would satisfy NATO members. It comes after Donald Trump's series of social media posts on the subject, including an AI-generated image depicting a US takeover of Greenland.
How far are you willing to go to acquire Greenland?
You'll find out. I believe very strongly that Norway controls the Nobel Prize. But you have to understand, I settled 8 wars.
French President Emmanuel Macron has criticised his American counterpart. He says European leaders wouldn't give in to bullies or be intimidated.
We need more stability in this world, but we do prefer respect to bullies. We do prefer science to plotism. And we do prefer rule of law to brutality.
Let me be direct. We are in the midst of a rupture, not a transition. Great powers have begun using economic integration as weapons. Tariffs as leverage, financial infrastructure as coercion, supply chains as vulnerabilities to be exploited.
Well, we are joined now by Global Affairs editor Laura Tingle for further analysis of what is shaping up to be quite a tense climactic few days as everyone makes their way to Switzerland. So, Laura, what do you make of President Trump's latest comments, the sort of signals that he's giving?
Well, I think the bottom line is that even people in Washington and even in the White House are apparently not sure what his obsession with Greenland is. It's looking increasingly irrational, and these sort of middle-of-the-night tweets seem to have confirmed that. He gave his press conference at the White House today to mark his first anniversary since coming back to office. And it rambled for about an hour and 20 minutes. Didn't really talk about Greenland very much at all until he was asked about it. But I think the commentary around that within the United States is really going to his state of mind now. So it's not clear where it's going to go from his perspective, but you're starting to see signs of alarm within congressional leaders and others about what's actually in Donald Trump's mind.
And already we're starting to see those comments from European leaders. What do you make of their comments at this stage and what that is also signalling?
Well, I think we've seen a real crossing of the Rubicon, to use an American reference, over the last 72 hours. I think European powers, post that exchange of texts that were leaked with the Norwegian Prime Minister, have basically said, OK, enough. This is ridiculous. We're not going to just take this. They're now talking about retaliatory measures. The European Parliament has said that it will not endorse the trade deal done with the United States last year. Donald Trump was talking about 200% tariffs on France, and basically they're all just saying, come and get us. We are now talking about measures in President Macron's speech, like sort of keeping capital in Europe rather than in America. Now, this is a serious thing. I mean, the stock market has fallen significantly today, as has the US dollar, because European sovereign funds, which essentially fund a large part of America's very large deficits, are seeing a risk in investing in the US dollar, and the governments are talking about preference for European investment.
Yeah, uncertainty is certainly ramping up at this stage. We've also heard from the Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney. Just step us through the sorts of messages that he's been giving and what this might potentially mean.
Mark Carney's speech has been widely hailed as a really interesting and significant speech. Obviously, he's not part of Europe, so he's taken what's happening in the world now and broadened it out and essentially said, the middle powers are not powerless. It's a sort of an extension of what the Europeans are saying, but he's saying we've basically all just got to make new arrangements. He's documented a whole series of arrangements that Canada has made, whether that's in defence, in trade, just essentially saying, we've just got to work around these big powers. And he's not just talking about the US here, he's also talking about China. And his speech had a real echo for Australia, because he's saying, look, Canada has all these things the rest of the world wants, whether it's rare earths, a stable power, all of these sorts of things. And you think, wait a minute, that sounds just like Australia. So you are just starting to see other parts of the world just saying, okay, the old world order is gone. There's no point mourning it. We can't be sentimental. We've just got to get on with it.